And all eyes are now on the next leg of the Pope's travels, the American stop for the pontiff.
Pope Francis has never been to the United States, but he is scheduled to arrive in Washington, D.C. tomorrow afternoon. Jennifer Lee is there tonight, and she is joining us live from outside the Capitol building. A lot of planning has gone into this visit, and for good reason. Thousands will be out on the lawn.
Tens of thousands, in fact. Keith and Stacy, good evening to you. Anticipation is building here in Washington, D.C. The preps are visibly underway. But it turns out there's one man in the Bay Area who knows firsthand just how much work goes into a papal visit.
Yeah, it's still an awesome moment.
As head of the Diocese of St. Petersburg, Bishop Robert Lynch is no stranger to papal encounters.
He is my boss.
His relationship with Pope Benedict was a close one.
And that's exactly what he's saying at that particular moment in that picture. He says, we did good things together.
And before that, with Pope John Paul II, a very unique connection.
John Paul II called me his travel agent, his American travel agent.
In fact, Bishop Lynch was instrumental in planning both Pope John Paul II's U.S. visits in 1979 and again in 1987.
Having the perspective that you do, how big an undertaking is it to plan for a Pope's visit to the United States?
It's mammoth. It's mammoth at every aspect.
Security, he says, will be the top priority as Pope Francis descends on America.
When I first heard he was coming and that he was going to go to Washington, New York, and Philadelphia, I kind of knew Philadelphia. My first prayer was for the Secret Service and for all of the various arms of the police that will be engaged in his security, because he's a people person.
And there will be tricky political waters for the Pope's handlers to navigate, too.
There are protocols that typical American politicians don't accept and don't understand that apply in a unique way to the Pope.
This time, though, those worries are not for Bishop Lynch to have. He's not in charge of the Pope's visit, and he won't be there to see him in person. But he admits, every time he does...
To see him? Oh, my knees knock.
Really?
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's like if the kids on the block could see me now.
It's pretty refreshing to hear, isn't it? Bishop Lynch, again, will not be here to see the Pope in person, but he tells me he will be watching this visit very closely, and so will we. We plan to follow the Pope in all 3 of his U.S. stops. Keith and Stacy?
Well, it's going to be a big time there. Bishop Lynch may not be going to see the Pope this time around, but I'm sure he's sending some folks from the Diocese of St. Petersburg.
He definitely is. In fact, he's sending 26 seminarians, future priests, to attend a special mass being celebrated by the Pope. That will happen on Wednesday. And we caught up with one of those young men, and we're going to have his story for you coming up tomorrow. Some good stuff ahead.
Yes, and we are looking forward to your coverage all week long. Jen Lee, live in Washington, D.C. tonight. Thank you. We'll have complete coverage all week as America welcomes Pope Francis. Jen is going to follow him every step of the way. She will share this historic trip with you during every newscast here on News Channel 8.